What's up YouTube, this is Joe from Zephyrwargames, and I'm here to firstly say apologies for not having a video uploaded on the Friday. I honestly thought I had my whole week scheduled already planned out and pre-uploaded, just all set for dates to go live, and it turns out I didn't have one for Friday, so sorry on that. But I am here to share with you guys. As you've seen, we've been uploading at least my team's results on matches from our 2v2 tournament in celebration of Valentine's Day at the time for that week. So I'm here to share with you guys the at least basic rules that I established for that tournament, so you guys can either take those rules and use them for yourself, or take the base rules and implement extras and interactions that suits you personally and your local environment. So before I get into that, firstly, again, a huge shout outs to I believe I'm pronouncing as Ollie Waltz, and my good friend Joe. Joe was the one who initially told me about the format, as he heard it from Ollie at the High Wycombe locals. Go check them out if you're in that area. They're a great group of people, really friendly, and I had a great time when I went down there for one of their Bandai Fun locals. Yeah, huge, great place, lovely people. Ollie was the initial creator of the 2v2. Then again, I heard it from Joe. I was like, nah, we need to do that here as well. We need to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Our formats had various it had like some different rules in terms of like how cards interacted and what was legal. They, for example, they banned or limited to one both Quartz and Death X in their format. I kept ours unrestricted, just based on just using Bandai's official ban list, as I just wanted to, at least for the first event, to have it, you know, like as crazy and free as possible. So again, I'm going to go through with you guys the basic rules, how the fields are laid out, how turns are structured, and how certain effects and certain colors interact within this format. So again, you can take that, use it for yourself, and iterate it as much as you like. So before I get into all of that, if you enjoyed, give us a like and subscribe down below. Ding that notification bell, because if you enjoy this content here on YouTube, you don't want to miss out on that. And doing all that greatly helps you not miss all of that, and greatly helps us here on the channel. And we know that you're enjoying it, and we can keep on doing it. So thank you for that, greatly appreciate it, and helps us out a lot. And so let's get into the rules of the 2v2. So 2v2, if you've ever played a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Team, it's basically iterating those rules and applying it to the Digimon TCG with some minor differences. So, for example, you've got your 2v2s, so player 1, player 2, player 1, player 2. So the way that the turns go out, you do your dice roll as per usual, and then you pick on that team, whoever wins the die roll, who goes first. So let's say this team wins and they're choosing this player to go first. A turn layout will then go player 1 to player 1 to player 2 to player 2, and then back and forth. So, you basically do it as of that. No one gets to commence an attack until everyone has had at least one turn of play. So the person, so let's say again, this is player 1, first turn to go, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once it goes back over here, this team can now start attacking. This is then to just give everyone at least a turn before damages starts getting dealt. So let's say those are the players. So now these are the decks. I'm going to zoom out here just a little bit, so apologies if you see some carpet. So we got our attacks. Let me just, there we go, perfect. looks nice now. So we got all of our players here. These are the decks. So you have your decks there. You will then have maybe your trash over here. Doesn't have to be exactly like this, but this is kind of like a nice layout. That gives you like the space that you need. So you can either do all of this on one playmat, as I'm showing you here, or you can have your 4 playmats each. You have your own separate areas that you get to then play on. We just had it, everyone would just naturally just had their own playmat, so I'm just showing you on one playmat. So you have your decks, you have your trashes, all your players are here. Then you have your security. So the way that security will be dealt out, so let's say this is team of 5 security, team of 5 security. So I'm going to actually just move this away. So you have your decks, you have your trash, you know, here. So I think this would be the easiest way. So you have your team here, because essentially whatever one team does, the other team does it as well. So you have your team here. So I do apologize, I'm a bit all over the place. I really should have had this planned out, or like a better way of doing it. So you have your team here. So this is like team A. You got your decks and you got your trash. There's the way that security is dealt. So let's say you've done your mulligans. So this is their 5 security. This is their 5 security. Instead of having a security laid out like there, what you'll be doing is you'll be taking one card from one person's security, putting it there, and then you'll be doing it from there. And then you essentially just do that in the middle between you both until you have 10 security. And that's how the security is laid out. So you have your team A and team B, that kind of thing. So that way you guys can get the understanding of how the security is dealt. That is basically how it is distributed. There you go. So you guys get understanding. So that's how the security is dealt. That is how the playing field is dealt. You have your one memory gauge between all of you. So the way that you operate the memory gauge is essentially a 1v1, but you're taking it in turns controlling the memory. So it's say player A, player 1 on team A is going first. They are 0 security because they are turn player. They do whatever they want. They play rookie for free memory. They're giving it free over. That's player 1 on team B's turn. Now they operate the memory. They got the free memory. Let's say they do something and then they put them to free memory. So now player B on team 1, player 2 on team, player B on team 1 now has that free memory. And it's just playing it out like that. That's how the memory is operated. This is how the field is laid out. You have your decks, you have your trash for both players, and then you have the one memory, the one security line in the middle. So that is essentially how the field is laid out. So to break it all down here, you have 2 teams of 2. You roll the dice, decide who goes first. Team A wins the die roll. Team A now chooses which player goes first. So player 1, then player 1, then player 2, then player 2, then player 1 again. No one attacks until everyone has had at least one turn of play. So player 1 on team A gets to attack first. Security is dealt 10 in middle in alternating fashion. And then you play. You operate the one memory gauge. That is the basic on how the field is laid out and how turn and team setup is commenced. So that's the basic rules. Now you have the basic rules. For certain color interactions, I think that's, yes, for certain color interactions, we'll dive into that. We operated it as, oh, actually no, let's do board interactions. I think that's the next best one. Board interactions. Teammates can discuss between each other. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all, you know, in spirits of Valentine couples. You team up, you strategize with each other, you do all that shenanigans. Player teammates can attack with your partner's Digimon. Players teammates can trigger partner's tamers and option cards. So if your partner has a memory boost and has a Digimon in play, they can attack with that Digimon. They can pop that memory boost to gain memory. If they have a tamer which triggers when one of your Digimon is attacking or is deleted or anything of those interactions, you can trigger those tamers as well. Cards, though, cannot interact with your hand. Your hand is your own area. Your raising area is your own area. You can digivolve on your partner's Digimon. And yes, and I think that those were the basic rules there. So those were the rules on how the fields are interacted with. Trashes can also be interacted with your partner's partner as well. So if your partner, let's say you're attacking with your Ancient Greymon and your Ancient Greymon is deleted, you can now pick a tamer from your partner's trash, add it to your hand, and then you can play that tamer. So you are now in ownership of that tamer, which will now get into ownership. We had implemented an ownership feature. As through testing, we kind of figured out that being able to just freely swing constantly with your partner's Digimon and tap your partner's tamers kind of got a little bit out of hand in scenarios. So we had a unsuspension and ownership feature. So I can attack with my partner's Digimon, and I can attack with my Digimon. But when it comes to my partner's unsuspend phase, my Digimon and tamers will not unsuspend on their unsuspend phase. They do not see, your Digimon tamers do not see your partner's unsuspend phase. This is to limit aggressive rushing and quick finishes. So you got a little bit of strategy there to go, don't swing yet. Let me do the swinging. Because then I can get more value out of it. You've got that kind of like strategy going on there. But if you digivolve on your partner's Digimon, you now claim ownership of that Digimon. The owner of a stack is the Digimon who is the owner of the Digimon of the top card of the stack. So if I digivolve on my partner's level 5 with my level 6, I now own that stack. So now that Digimon sees my unsuspend phase and not theirs. Yes, you can just freely attack with your partner's Digimon or not. But if you want to then mess around with the unsuspending, you can now do that by digivolving interchangeably between the team. Digimon that have effects when the Digimon is deleted with it in a stack apply to the owner of that Digimon. So if I digivolved on my partner's purple stack and they have like 3 on delete, draw 1, trash 1 effects, I gain those effects because I am the current card owner. So you got that kind of like strategy going on as well. Then you have, I think, ace timing applies to both players. So if your opponent swings, both players get to ace, but only one ace can be done. So if we both have a level 5 ace in our hand, we can both choose to use our aces, but only one of us gets to actually do the blast digivolve. So no double acing, essentially. Then we have, So I guess I can move on into color interactions now and certain strategy interactions. So with purple, because we thought that purple decks would benefit the most of having multiple trashes in the game going on at once. So if a purple player is using a mill effect, it only applies to them and the player sitting opposite them. So if an opponent's Velgamon attacks, or if your Velgamon attacks, it will see everything on the field. So all the colors, all the Digimon, so it can get really big, really beefy. But when it starts to go, right, now I trash one for every color, it will only apply to your deck and the person opposite you. So yes, you can get a big trash, but it's only going to apply to one person. So you can't just quickly mill out both players. You can only quickly mill out one player at a time if you want to go down that route. In terms of deck out, if one person in the team is decked out, the other player keeps going. So that way you can't just aggressively mill one person out and then that's finished. You win when both players are either decked out or the whole security is gone. When it comes to things like Gallantmon Crimson mode, because he is interacting with the trash in terms of trash count, I guess you could essentially just apply, like when a card effect is applying to a trash count, it applies to only you and the person opposite you. So when Gallantmon Crimson mode attacks, he counts the trashes in your trash and the person opposite you. That way, it's not, oh, cool, my teammate does purple hybrid, they just mill everybody out, and now my Gallantmon Crimson mode just, gets like a gajillion trashes, and then that's it, that's the game. So that is that kind of strategy going on there. So you can essentially apply those two examples and those to a lot of Digimon, and you can get a good list on like, okay, cool, this works like that, this works like that, this works like that, this follows that wall, this follows that wall. In terms of, I think that was essentially it. Oh, if a tamer, something like Marcus Damon, wants to attack, you can trigger Marcus Damon. This is from BT 10, I think, or 11. No, I think it's BT 12. One of the first good Marcus Damon. When he attacks, you can digivolve your partner's Digimon into a Greymon. The Greymon has to come out from your hand. So anything that interacts with your hand as a resource applies to only your hand. So you have a hero, a Manakar from RB1. You can tuck a Digimon from Gamma its name from your hand underneath any Digimon. You can tuck your Gammamon underneath anyone's Digimon, yours or your partner's. Your partner can trigger your hero, but they need to have the resource in their hand. They need to have the Gammamon name in hand, and they can tuck it underneath any Digimon. I can swing with my partner's Marcus. I can trigger that Marcus. I can digivolve their Digimon, but the Greymon I'm going into has to come from my hand. So that's with that you could essentially categorize as resource management. You can trigger a tamer or a Digimon that is interacting with a resource, but the resource has to come from your hand. So the moving on, so I think that basically covers those rules. Again, you can essentially break those rules down to its bare minimum, and you can apply those to a bunch of other cards in the game. The last thing was in terms of security. So this is probably the only rule where I took a specific Digimon, because not many Digimon do this kind of interaction, but it's with security. So essentially, the rule is currently only applying to Mastermon from EX6. I think it's EX6. So Mastermon from EX6 says you can take over the opponent's Digimon, tuck it into the security at the bottom. Then you trash till they have 4 security. So I didn't want a single Mastermon wiping out 7 security on its own, like by turn 2. So if they get the right setup. And Mastermon is such a splashable card. Like, literally one of my mates, Chris, he straight away with his team was like, yeah, I would tech in the Mastermon to have that kind of like stupid interaction in his deck. So we made it so that EX6 Mastermon, if your opponent is 6 or more security on resolution, Mastermon will only trash 3. So your opponent is at the 10 security, they take a Digimon, put it in, so that's now 11, they trash 3, so it goes down to 7. If your opponent's at 6 security, they take a Digimon, put it in, now they have more than 6. Yeah, so they still have more than 6 or more. You trash 3, they go down to 4. If your opponent's though is at less than 6, so essentially 5 or lower, Mastermon applies as normal. So if your opponent is above 6, right? So yes. Yeah, if your opponent is more than 6 on resolution, Mastermon only trashes 3 cards. If your opponent is 6 or below on resolution, Mastermon applies as normal. So if your opponent is at 6 security, obviously, if they're at 10, they only do 3. But if your opponent's at 6 security, Mastermon tucks 1 underneath. Now they're at 7 on resolution. So Mastermon will only trash 3, so putting your opponent down to 4. If your opponent is at 5, you trigger Mastermon, they go to 6. Cool, they're still at 6. I now apply Mastermon as normal, so they go down to 4. So essentially, I just didn't want to break Mastermon. So like literally when my friends were asking me on how Mastermon would work, at first I was like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, Mastermon just works as normal, completely forgetting that, hang on a minute, I don't want Mastermon trashing 7. So, but you don't want to have a team where like it was going to literally be Mastermon and Zephyrwargames. So the strategy would be Mastermon trashes 7, they go down to 4, Zephyrwargames swings, does the last 4. I don't want that. So I didn't want to have that kind of quote unquote degeneracy going on. So yes, so we applied those rules to Mastermon. So yeah, that's essentially the rules of 2v2. I hope you all enjoyed it. We are going to be working on a document spreadsheet to get this all done. So if you when that's done, I'll try to get it somewhere where I can have it down in the comments below, so so all of you lot can see the rules on how 2v2 will work. Yeah, and then you can all enjoy that. So I hope this video helps. I do apologize I didn't have like kind of the rules laid out, written out in front of you, but yeah, so turn, if I want to just quickly break it down, turn is down through normal procedures, dice roll, highest roll wins, team gets to choose who teammate goes first, then it goes 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, back to 1. No one attacks until player 1, first player 1 goes again. Everyone needs to have 1 single turn. Security is laid out 10 in the middle in alternating fashion. Partner's Digimon can be digivolved from your partner, but that Digimon doesn't unsuspend, or their tamers don't unsuspend on your unsuspend phase. Tamers options and Digimon's effects can be triggered by your partner. And you can Digivolve on your partner's Digimon, but now you claim ownership of that Digimon, so now that Digimon sees your unsuspend phase. Resources can only be applied, resourcing effects can only be applied for your hand. So again, RB1 Hero can tuck a Gamamon name underneath a Digimon. You can tuck it underneath your partner's Digimon, but the Gamamon name has to come from your hand. Your markers can swing, Digivolve your partner's Digimon, or your partner's markers can swing and Digivolve your Digimon, but the Digimon has to come out from the turn player. So the grey one has to come out from your hand if you're the one doing the attacking, and vice versa for your partner. Purple decks with milling effects apply to only you and the person opposite you. So your Velgamon counts everything on the field in terms of color, but now it's only trashing this player and this player. Gallimon Crimson mode counts everyone's counts only your trash and your opponent's opposite use trash. Digimon effects that are in a stack on a Digimon owned by your partner now applies to that partner. So if your partner Digivolved on your purple Digimon with 3 on delete, draw 1, trash 1, they will get the effect when the Digimon is deleted. Your Mastermon. yes, that was the last one. Mastermon from EX6. If the security of the opponent on resolution of Mastermon is above 6, they will trash only 3 cards. If your opponent's security is on resolution 6 or lower, they trash. They apply Mastermon as per usual text on the card. And that is it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Again, huge apologies for not having video up on the Friday. So I hope this video is a nice apology. And I hope you all enjoying the 2v2 videos. We still got 2 more rounds left to be coming up on the channel. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you all enjoy it. So as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time, as always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.